So,
Cool.
hi everyone, thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for listening today. Liam Hartree here with another episode of Presenting Champions, and today I have a very special guest who I'm very excited to talk to, professional boxer Erik Skoglund, who has an amazing story to tell in everything he's overcome in his career. Before we get to the inspirational aspect of the story that we'll be talking about today, I should mention that Erik has so far had a stellar career both as an amateur and professional, including winning silver and gold medals at the Swedish National Championships, bronze medal at the Stranza Cup, fought Bado Jack as an amateur. As a professional, won the EBU European title at light heavyweight with 3 defences, won quite a few international titles as well, including the WBC Council Youth World title at light heavyweight, WBA, IBF and IBO international titles, I believe, all at light heavy, and obviously fought in the World Boxing Super Series as well. Challenged for the WBC Diamond title as well at a lower weight. So he's accomplished a lot, but what we're going to be talking about today goes beyond that, because as many fans will know, Erik suffered a traumatic brain injury during a training camp. His recovery from that has been a true inspiration to many people. I've got to say, it's amazing seeing him on here today, looking so well. So we're going to be talking about his story today, his life, his career, his recovery from a very dark place, and a lot more. So stay tuned, everyone. And Champ, I just want to say a big thank you for coming on, and big thank you for making the time for this today. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you
Oh,
for having me. I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to share my thoughts
mm,
and experience
well,
as well.
yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. It really is, and I think what I'm going to start with, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, is to start with, your life as it is now. Obviously, some people will be aware of your recovery, of how things are going. Some people may not have heard from you, since the accident and since that occurred, depending on how much they follow boxing. So, can you share with us a little bit about your life, as it is now in 2022? What some of your goals are moving forward, how your recovery is going. Just a little bit of your thoughts on how things are for you right now, please.
Yeah, my life is like, in one way, it's kind of the way it always has been. I'm training a lot. I'm very focused on my goal, and yeah, that's it pretty much. On another way, it's quite the opposite as it always has been, because I have no fight coming up, and even though I'm working to get myself back in the ring, I have no date, I have no deadline, I have no like short-term training camp. But we're building my life as training camps anyway, with like the preseason training, and it goes on for a couple of weeks, and then I switch it and have more like high intense training, make a lot of cardio, and then a lot of boxing training as well, all the time, to get the rhythm back, and to get the eyes back for it, and to feel the rhythm. That's the most important thing. So a lot of physical training and lots of boxing training as well. That's what I've been focusing on.
Fantastic. It's amazing to get an insight, and I must say I admire your persistence. Your tenacity and your drive to get back. In the ring. Basically, it's a very worthy goal. It's a very brave thing. I have to ask, with the medical situation, would you be medically cleared to fight? Do you think at this stage are you well enough after the injury, after the accident, to be cleared in that way? Just for anybody that doesn't know, can you share with us a little bit about how that is looking?
It's very hard for me to say, as I'm not a doctor, but healthy enough,
Mm,
or fit enough, because of course I'm not as fit as I used to be, and I've said it to myself, and I've promised my family as well, that I want to be 110% before I'm getting back in that ring, and that's still the aim. So I'm not back like fighting for real, even though I do some sparring and I've started to like push up the levels to see what I can do and what I can't do. But I think that it's really moving the right direction. So the hope is living, and yeah, I'm living for it.
Amazing. Well, as I said to you at the beginning, I think this is amazing on so many levels because, it gives other people hope as well. What you've been through and, how you're coming out of the other side. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you do seem very well, and it's just wonderful to see. But, it does give hope to others as well, which is a big part of, my reason for doing these interviews in the first place. So, that is really wonderful to see. I think, because, we're working this almost backwards in a way, where we're starting with the accident and then we'll go back to your career. So I'd like to actually touch on it, with what I tend to do with these is I move between the past and the future a bit. It's not always, this
Yeah,
happened and then this happened and then this happened. So I'd like to touch upon the accident itself, and what happened because some people would know the story, some people won't know the story, some people maybe hear pieces of the story, not the whole story. So just to make it clear for everyone, I know you probably talk about this a lot, but can you describe the accident, what happened, on that day in the training camp, how you felt immediately afterwards. Just
yeah, yeah,
your
sure,
thoughts
sure.
on that.
Uh, yeah, I do. As to start, I need to say I was uh, in a training bag for in a training camp for a comeback fight after my first loss against Callum Smith to the World Boxing Super Series, and my plan was to like catch him up on the inside as I knew he was going to come out as a winner of the World Boxing Super Series, and I wanted to be the first contender of him to fight him after that because I wanted a rematch. So I was focusing on the WBC silver belt, which I was going to fight Rocky Fielding for, and that fight was booked. And then it was rescheduled as I was in a very hard training camp for it, and I thought that this fight will happen later anyway. So I'll keep sparring, I'll keep pushing myself, and I developed this, for me, kind of a new style because I lost to Callum Smith, and I was fighting in England, and he's an Englishman, and I was gonna fight Rocky Fielding in England as well. So I thought I was gonna be needing to move forward a bit and maybe take one punch to give two, and that was the kind of fighting style that I was practicing during this training camp. So I was fighting much more offensive than I used to do, and yeah, took much more punishment than I used to do. Although I gave a lot as well, but and in a fight this can work. In a training camp with the sparring partner after sparring partner, week after week, session after session, it won't work, and it's not healthy. So I had to learn that the hard way, the hardest possible way, because yeah, it almost killed me.
Yeah, yeah,
So I was here in Nyköping sparring at my gym. It was a normal day. It was Friday. It was the end of the week, and yeah, I just found out that this fight was postponed. But I thought I better keep going anyway. So I was sparring, and yeah, it was a good session. And I went back to my brother who was in the corner for me. And yeah, he said to me also, a good session now. It's a weekend. You get to rest. And I was like, my eyes was completely different than they used to be. And I said to him like, almost panicking, no, it's not good. Take my gloves off. I'm not good. I don't feel good. And he was like, yeah, calm down. You can rest now. And I was just shaking my head, and then I fell to the floor, the canvas, and I was just lying there. And my girlfriend, luckily, she was with me, and she had already seen after the last round that something wasn't right. So she had already called an ambulance, and they showed up, luckily, and brought me in. And the the people from the ambulance consisted that this was a brain bleed. So they said to my girlfriend that you can prepare for a long night because he needs to go emergency to the nearest brain surgery and to have this done.
Mm.
So that was hard for them. I was sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, it must have been very hard for them, for your family as well. They must have got the news. And I'm very mindful with this that even though people talk to you about this a lot, I'm sure it can't be easy to, sort of go back there and relive that. So, I respect that. And I also respect that you've had an incredible career so far. There's more to come, and we will get to that as well, because you're not really defined by the accident. You accomplished a lot of other things. But I just wanted to start there because it really shows, how far you've come to be back to where you are now. So I'd like to touch on one or two small things about the accident itself, then we can move on with, some of your other fights and some other things. Those things are obviously you then hit the floor in the gym. So what was the next point that you remember, even though your girlfriend, your family, other people knew what was going on? When you woke up, for anyone that doesn't know this, what was the what when did you sort of come around?
I have kind of a disorder on that question because things doesn't come back to me and then I remember everything from that date. So it's like I remember parts, different parts from the hospital, and one thing was uh, one of the medical checks after I woke up a few weeks later, and they were this was a doctor coming forward and he said to me, can you lift your arms straight up like this? And I was like, what? This is not what he's supposed to ask. I thought, of course, a guy with a white robe and I'm a boxer. This is a check up the fight. He's gonna check my knuckles and my reflexes and stuff like that. But he didn't. He asked me to put my arms straight forward, and I thought, like, what the hell? Okay, I better do as this comedian guy asks me to do. And then I got like this kind of overview. I felt like I saw myself because there was a guy that he couldn't even do it. I couldn't lift my arms. My right side arm was like just hanging. I couldn't move it at all, and the left side arm was just moving around without control. So I was in a really bad place, and then I was like, I got the feeling that um, one part of my brain came back and told me like, this is not good. You're in a very bad place. And then another part of my brain told me that you're not gonna stay in this place. It's not gonna be like this forever. And then I was like focusing 110% of getting myself out from the hospital and to get myself back to where I wanted to be, to where I think that I belong.
Hmm. And this is the other question about the accident before we move on, because as I mentioned, the hope and the inspiration is a big part of what I do, what I like to do. So essentially, the question is simple. The answer may be big, but how did you not give up in that situation? I mean, some people would have. Was it something that was always inside of you? You obviously believe that you'll get back in the ring,
Well,
which is wonderful. Talk to us a little about that, please.
well, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not
Mm.
sure why I keep focusing on getting back. I guess for me, there's simply no other option. There's no other way, and there hasn't been another way since I was 12 years old. Came up with this long-term plan together with my father to reach the goal and become a world champion. And since then, I've been living my life like this, and everything that I've done since then has been for the boxing. And there hasn't been there hasn't even been 1 hour since then without me thinking about boxing and about the way that I should become a world champion. So it wasn't like my goal within the sport. It was my life goal. It was kind of my religion. It was the only thing that I believed in. Yeah, so to just give that up because you were with an accident, I'm not going to do that. And for me, that was never an option. I was so sure, even though I saw and I realized how bad it looked and how crazy I must seem for other people, that this is to give up is not an option, because if I do, I basically I stop living. And as I got another chance to live, I see it as my duty to live the life that I want to live. Because if I'm just gonna sit in a chair and be careful and worried about what should happen next, there's nothing good coming out of that. There's nothing good at all coming out of that. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna keep pushing myself the way I always have pushed myself, even harder, because I know where I'm going.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I personally, never mind the questions, I really respect that because, the passion and the power that you have inside of you for this, it really comes over. And I respect that. I do respect that. I mean, obviously, there's always risks in everything we do in life. But I do believe what you say, that if something is not growing forward, it's automatically going backward, and yeah, it's no way to live. So to just wait. So I can see why you're doing what you're doing. I respect that a great deal. That's not even a question. I'm just saying that it's really an amazing amazing perseverance, amazing bravery, that you have, to go again, and coming from that place of not being able to even lift your arms to where you are now, to the level you are now, it's just it's incredible. It is amazing. So we've talked about the accident itself a little bit, and probably enough, for you to think back there, because it can't be nice by any means, to sort of relive these things. So looking back through some of your career before, obviously before the accident, there was a lot of big achievements. And as much as you're focusing on going forward, just taking the moment to look back, is there a proudest moment of your career? I mean, we've got great names that you faced. For example, Glenn Johnson, Lolenga Mock. I interviewed him, great guy. Obviously, Karen Smith. There's all these great people. There's the different titles you won, the European title, the various international titles. So out of all of that, maybe amateur as well, I don't know. Is there something that you look back on that you think to this point you're most proud of? I know the future is still there, but we just need to look back because you've achieved a lot. Is there one that's the proudest for you? Maybe more than one?
Yeah, there's one that is very special for me, and that is September in 2015, when I brought full-time title boxing for men back to Sweden. I was the first one since the 60s to do that. It has been banned always since then, and I I was injured. I got a back injury, herniated disc, fighting Glenn Johnson in 2014. December, and then I was having a long rehab session, a very long rehab period after that, and I thought no fight is gonna happen any soon anyway, so we better fight this political battle to get boxing back to Sweden. And we had a lot of meetings and a lot of paperwork had to be done. But together with Mr. Sauerland, my promoter, and my father was a big guy in this as well. We had it done and it was approved. So that was really I was so excited about it, and I was terrified as well because I didn't for full trust my back, and I have had so much pain in it. So I was like, is it gonna hold or is it gonna get broken again? And so I was very nervous, and on top of that, I had over 5,000 people screaming my name walking up to that fight. So it was kind of an amazing atmosphere. That is the strongest memory that I have so far in my career.
Wow, that is incredible. Again, an incredible achievement, and again, a positive impact that you've had on many people, which I think is a little bit of a theme in your life. So, that is amazing because, yes, and I have heard that boxing was banned for anyone watching this or listening this that doesn't know, in Sweden for many years, in Norway as well, I believe. It was also banned for a time. So it's good that boxing is coming back in that part of the world, thanks to yourself. So an incredible achievement. I think that people would also like to hear about a couple of other fights. Obviously, we can't talk about them all, but I've just tried to pick a few key ones just to look back for a moment before we come back to the
Yeah,
present
sure,
day
go ahead.
and the future. So another one is obviously winning the European, the EBU European title against Lolenga Mock. Um, that's a very big achievement as well. The European, especially the pure European, because now obviously there's the IBF European and the WBO and all of these other ones. But winning the EBU itself, the most prestigious against Lolenga Mock. I don't have a particular question about this particular round or this particular aspect of the fight, but just your memories of that fight that you'd like to share with us. I think is a very worthy achievement to talk about, to give a mention to.
Yeah, I remember that fight very well. I was very nervous fighting, even though it was a Sauerland show. I was kind of fighting aboard because he was a Dane and I was fighting in Denmark. And even though I had a lot of Swedish supporters coming down, I felt that I was, he was so much more routined than me. So I was kind of the underdog anyway. And I was talking to my trainer, and after the first round, which was a little bit stiff, I asked him, Captain Röver, my German trainer at that point, I asked him, did I win this round? And he said, yes, you won it, but stop focusing on that. You have to just fight and see what happens now. And I was going into the second round, uh, still a little bit stiff. And I asked him after, did I win this round? And he said to me once again, stop focusing on this. Yes, you won it, but it was close, but just start fighting for real. And then I was moving out in the third round, fighting a little bit better. And then suddenly, from nowhere, it was like kind of a lightning coming down. I was hit by a right hand from Lolengamok on my chin, and I was like wobbling back and fell on the ropes, and he was running after me. I was given a count at that point because I was down against the ropes, and I was just focusing on the referee when he was counting, and I said, I hope you let me continue. I hope you let me continue. And he said 8, and he said box, and I was like, fuck. He lets me continue, and I was so not clear. So I was wobbling around and throw some easier shots back and trying to survive that round. It was more than a minute to go, and I survived that round. and I came down, sat down in the corner as well again, and I said to my trainer like, "Well, now it's a tie," because I had two 10-9 rounds, and now I lost this one 8-10. So now we start working, and the fourth round was still one of the best rounds ever in my career. I was boxing very well, and the rest of that fight was really good fight, and I won the fight unanimous decision, and I felt very very good. My self belief was on top, and yeah, that was another really happy moment of my career.
Mm. Yeah, I had a feeling it would be, and it's an amazing achievement, something to be very proud of. I would say as well. And I interviewed Lolenga about 2 years ago. He's a very tough fighter, so it's a great win on many counts to talk about. You touched on something interesting there, though, Eric, that I think is often maybe a little bit overlooked in the fight game, which is obviously the mental side. You said that you felt a little nervous before that fight. Not many champions will admit to that, very often. But on the run up to a big fight, not just with nerves now, but with anything, how do you mentally approach the challenge? Because although the physical training is essential, it's always fascinating me, in fight week or maybe a couple of weeks out, are you focusing solely on the fight? Are you putting it out of your mind? Different people do it different ways when I talk to them. So in your own words, what are your thoughts on that aspect of, the build up to a fight mentally?
Yeah, I'm very calm and very focused, and I do my homework. I study the opponent. I try to get in similar sparring partners, and I try different styles, and I try to figure out what style I should use and what style would suit him the worst. And then, of course, I have a plan A, plan B, and plan C, and just to make sure that something is gonna work. And then I practice this all of those plans on training. Yeah, and as I said, I study him a lot, the opponent. If there's a lot of fights with him, and I choose fights when he has an opponent that is similar to me, if there is, uh, just to see what I should do, what I should not do, what I should avoid. If he has one big punch, yeah, so I can feel like confident that I have done everything I can to get to know my opponent.
Preparation, yes, preparation is key. Victory loves preparation, and I would say that's a very valuable tip as well for any fighters, who are starting out
and
or
that and
maybe.
that and that's just the like fighting style preparation. The physical style, the cardio, the strength conditioning part, uh, must just be uh, self-care. It should be 110% every time. And I have always had a feeling that I must know if I'm tired, if I'm totally exhausted and I feel I can't go one more round, then he should already be lying down, because he should not be more fit than me. This should not be a possibility.
Mm, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's all these phrases that people say, train hard, fight easy, and all these sorts of things. But in principle, it is the truth. I've
Yeah, I
seen that.
think I think I think train hard, fight hard.
Yeah, no
Because
fight is easy.
those guys, no fight is easy, or no fight is guaranteed to be easy. Or those guys on the top, they put it hard work in as well as you do. So as I said, I study them. I do all of my tactical work, uh, everything that I can do. But the cardio thing, the physical part, must be self care part. It
Yeah.
must be done. Uh, and it has to be done every time.
Yeah. There's 110%, as you say, yeah, maximum, and leave no stone unturned, and everything
That's
is.
that's the same part of it. We can talk a little bit about, like, losing weight before a fight. And I know a lot of people, like, I've seen world champions on training camps, and they have cheat days, and they go out on the night and eat hamburgers and stuff like that up to a fight. Not the fight week, up to a fight. And I still have time, I can take it off later. Before my latest fight, I was on a diet for 10 months,
Mm,
uh, to cut my weight from, I was light heavyweight, and moving down to super middleweight. It's about 3 kilo extra, but I was weighing 87 kilos, and moving down to 76. So I had to cut 11 kilos, and that takes time. You need to do it proper if you want to be able to fight.
yeah. Yeah, weight cuts. That's a big one. In my time as well, I've seen some weight cuts that have been done very well, and some that have really been done, to the point where it can get dangerous. Because it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
you're not doing it the right way, and obviously the effects that can have long term as well. It's very important to get it right. And there's some very important tips there, as I was saying, for young fighters as well. Who are starting out. I mean, you're still young, but you know what I mean. People at the beginning of their careers where they're thinking, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? There's some good tips with that. For
and
some.
I'm not that young anymore.
No,
I've been around a bit. Yeah, I've been
yeah.
around, but yeah,
You're young, but I think, but experienced. Very experienced
yeah,
in boxing. I think it's more that side of it. Whereas with some of these things we're talking about, for fighters who are less experienced, it can be valuable. And I know they have their trainers and they have their coaches and they have their people they should speak to. But still, hearing from someone like yourself who's made it to this high level, it can be a powerful thing. So it's good to mention,
yeah,
to give
hopefully,
a
yeah,
right view of that. So last couple of things then, really, because we've getting into some good stuff. One question that always comes up every interview that I do with boxing is obviously about toughest fights, and this is one that's more for some questions are more for other fighters, some questions are more for boxing fans. So this one for boxing fans, they always want to know about toughest fights. Now, you mentioned the Cameron Smith fight. That certainly sounded tough. I can think of a few others, but I never like to guess. So, in your own words, was there one that stands out as the toughest in terms of, obviously, tough has different meanings. So this could be maybe technically the most difficult, or maybe just one where you had to sort of dig the deepest and you hit the hardest. It has an interpretation to it. But in your own
yeah.
words, is there one that stands out?
The there's kind of a few fights that was very tough for me in different ways.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Lolenga Mok fight, getting knocked down, rise and come back and win. That was a very tough fight. Another fight was the fight before that, actually, in my career, against another Englishman, Luke Blackledge, uh, who was not a very good fighter, technically, but he was tough, and he was throwing a lot of punches. And I was kind of tricked into a slugfest, because uh, I felt the first round I was a little bit stiff, and I hit him with the right hand, and he was putting a knee down. Actually, I've seen it on the video as well, and he should have had a count there, but he didn't get it. And I was like, I'm gonna knock this guy down, and I was fighting for that to happen, but it didn't. And I was like trading punches with him, and I was so exhausted. So after like 4 rounds, full battle, I thought to myself, I'm not gonna make this. So I was completely off. I had to give a few rounds away to reload and come back at the end and box him out a little bit more. a little bit more technical than not too much infighting and stuff like that. So that was a very good learning fight for me personally. I was not that experienced. It was my first 10 rounder youth title fight, and yeah, it was a very good experience for me. Then of course my latest fight with Callum Smith was also a fight aboard, and it was a very tough one. And it wasn't that tough mentally because I was not maybe for the first time a Lengamok. I was also a little bit of an underdog, but this was the first time that I was really an underdog, and people, they didn't even expect me to stand the first couple of rounds. You know, I heard people from the fight fans were screaming as we did the ring walk. You know, like you're gonna get knocked out. You're a bong. You can't even. You doesn't belong in the ring with Callum Smith. I heard it. They were screaming things like that, and I was just like, you know, you'll wait and see. I do belong here. I knew I did, and yeah, that was a fight that I was not doing my best 100%. I believe that's very hard to get out 100% in a fight, but I was fighting pretty good, and you know, the tactic was almost working, but it's hard to win such a close fight aboard. And when I was knocked down in the 11th round as well, and then I thought like, well, fuck, I didn't win this. But then I watched it afterwards, tried to score it myself, and you know what? I'm not going to go into that, but I think that was the judges didn't have it as close as I did, so it was a very tough fight. But that was a hard learning fight for me too. So I'm glad that I did that fight because it was I learned a lot from it.
Amazing insight there. Yes, with the Callum Smith one, I won't go into it either, but I had it closer than the scorecards I remember seeing at the time, which, you know, it happens too much in boxing, and I don't want to, like you, I don't want to veer off into all of that stuff about decisions and you know, but yeah, I know what you mean with that, so we say, which is fair enough. So. Amazing. So the only other couple of things to touch on is another aspect, even though and we're sort of coming back to the future a little bit here, back to the future, you know, we're coming more towards the present day. Is is there any room at the moment that you're thinking about maybe um, doing more coaching or giving back to younger fighters as well? Or because I remember you cornered a teammate of yours over in England, which I think was during the time of your injury and your recovery. And I'm not sure, maybe you're already doing this, but with your boxing knowledge, with your experience, I know your main goal is the world title and to get back in the ring and to fight again. But do you think there's this other side to it with, you know, some of what you've shared today is excellent wisdom. Do you have an interest in
Yeah,
that?
yeah, sure I do, and I know, you know, I've always seen myself as kind of a future trainer, or a coach or a manager or something like that. I think that I will always live a life of boxing, but I'm just not done fighting myself yet, and that is something that today takes 100% of my focus, because I don't believe in doing like combos, like being a trainer and being a fighter. Of course, some people do, and some people do it very successful as well. But for me, uh, my journey back is taking too much time. So I'm doing a bit of like, you know, helping some friends, but I'm not a coach. I'm not a trainer. Maybe I will be one day, but today I'm still a fighter trying to get back.
Mm, absolutely. And I think I can speak for fight fans everywhere when I say that we're looking forward to seeing you back in there.
Well,
Really,
thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I
yeah,
really appreciate it.
I think we're looking forward to it. And I mean, for anybody watching this as well, I am just going to say, just for my own case here, I don't say it lightly. I wouldn't say it lightly. And actually, before we were talking, when we got on here, I had a feeling you might say that, and I thought, oh, I don't know, like with what happened to him, is it a good idea? But actually, sitting down, listening to you, I can really see, that the passion is there. That is what you live and breathe, and and it's in that way doing what you love, it is living. I don't know how to put it over. You see it with people when they retire, and some people keep busy with something else that they're passionate about. Some people just sit around and wait for you know the end, or whatever. So the fact that you're passionate, the fact that you love it, I can see why you want to come back and do it. And I'm just saying that for my case with this interview. If people say, oh well, Liam, you're advising a guy who had the brain bleed to get back in there, well, I wouldn't always. I mean, like with Nick Blackwell over here in the UK, if you've heard of that case, he had a similar thing. He got back sparring. He had a secondary injury, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did. So I don't say it like, oh yeah, but given the fact that you're taking every precaution, you're doing it the right way, and you're sort of taking your time about it to make sure you're 100%. I say go for it, man. I say I really look forward to see you back in there. And I do mean that from the heart, because it's an amazing thing, and it'll be a comeback story. It'll be better than Rocky Balboa. When you get back in the ring and start winning, so it'll be better than that, man. I mean, Rocky Balboa, he went through a lot. He didn't have a brain injury, so when you come back from it, it'll be. Do you know what I mean? It'll give people hope, like Tyson Fury. I've worked with Tyson a few times, and in a different way, what he came back from with the depression, the mental health, and so on, to winning fights, that gives a lot of people hope. I know people who say, who have depression and things like that, where they say, I didn't give up because of him. Well, in a different way, you're doing the same type of thing, and I think that's why when you get back in the ring as well, it will have more meaning. Not just people who have a brain injury, but people who get in knocked down proverbially, by life in a different circumstance, and they think, oh, I want to give up on this. You didn't give up, so it shows them that you can, come back and try again. Do you know what I mean? If that makes any sense, you're giving so many people hope with this, and that's why I think it has real meaning. But anyway, the last question I have for you, though, funnily enough, is about that, and it is
Well,
about your family.
first of all, I just have to say thank you. Thank you for that, for those
Yeah.
words. It was really touching, and I got the feeling that you kind of understand me and the way I feel about this. And as I said, not all people do. So thank you. I really appreciate.
It's my pleasure. I just say it how it is, and and like I say, I wasn't sure, but as soon as we sat down and we started talking, and I started to sort of feel it from you, as it's not just a listening thing, but you started to feel that the dream, and what you want from your life. I thought, you should give it your all, and get back in there, and obviously be careful, but at the same time, I would say still, it's still, the dream is still there, so that's my view on it. And I definitely think that with what you're doing, it's not just you, you're sort of carrying other people forward in a way, in the sense that, it gives other people the hope. So that's just something from the heart from me. That's not even a question, but, and I wasn't sure what to say, but I thought, why not? Fuck it. I'll just say, because if it helps you, then, that's all good. But no, the last question is about that, is about fans and supporters, because, in your career with boxing, before the accident and during and after the accident, you've had a lot of support, I've seen, and with this, I know some people will have supported you with the accident for a while, then maybe come back away, but people support people in different ways. But to anybody who's out there who, sends you positive messages, or they support you in a training camp, or they support you in any way, I'd like to just give them a mention, because there's a lot of people who sort of stuck by you, believed in you, whether they're close to you or whether you've never met them and they're online and they're just wishing you the best, of luck, if you get what I mean. What would you say to your supporters, your genuine supporters, anyone out there who's taken the time to do that?
Well, honestly, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I'm not gonna give up on this. It's too big. It's a too big dream for me. So I'm never gonna give up. I'm never gonna stop. And neither should you. If you have something that you like, that really lights your fire, that you believe in, that you believe is the right way for you to go there. Do it. Give it a try. For all of your heart. That's my piece of advice.
Hmm. Well, it's powerful advice, and as I mentioned, it's something you can apply to any life area, and just for our viewers, for our listeners, it doesn't just have to be about boxing. You can apply this lesson to anything, and that's what makes it so powerful, and
Yeah,
that's what
sure.
makes.
Life can knock you down in different ways. And my way was in the boxing ring, but for all people, there isn't. It can be other ways to get knocked down by life. But as long as you rise and learn and keep living, that's the most important thing.
Keep living, yeah. That's what life is for. So it's an amazing lesson, and live and breathe your passion. Yeah, absolutely. Well, champ, it's been an absolute pleasure today. I mean, I knew it would be good. I think we've gone on longer than what I said, but it's been wonderful because we've got into some really good material, talked about some really good stuff here, and I'm very happy with that. And it's a little different, to your average boxing interview, which is what I aim for. So I'm sure that this will inspire many people, and help people, and obviously personally for you, looking forward to seeing you, back in the ring. Keep us all updated on that. But the last thing for me to say is just big thank you for your time, and big thank you for you taking time out of your evening to sort of share everything that you've shared, and talk about the highs and the lows, and everything in between. I really appreciate your time as well. Really, really, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed being here talking about this. So thanks. I hope I inspire someone to not give up.
Mm. I'm sure you did. I believe you did. But no, thank you again. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.